Ashley Martin and her mother, Frances Wise, are in Charlotte now.
We're currently in a hotel.
But Saturday morning, they were here at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, where their original flight to Charlotte was delayed for a reason they still can't believe.
What did you think?
Oh my gosh.
Neither knew it at the time, but a group of officers showed up here to arrest their pilot for murder. One of the victims was found shot to death in his home. 2 others were found in a burned-up car in a cornfield miles away.
All right, there are delays at the airports all the time, but I've got to think this is the first time it's ever been delayed because the pilot got arrested for triple murder at the airport. We have a picture of the pilot. Here he is. He's the defendant in the next live trial here on Court TV. Christian Martin. There he is, also known as Kit. That's not from the American Airlines yearbook. That's his mugshot because he's still got his wings on. He's wearing them in his mugshot. Triple murder, 3 victims here. Let's take a look. Cal and Pam Phillips, a husband and wife, the first 2 that you see right there. And then Ed Dansereau is the third. Cal was shot in his home, and Pam and Ed were found in a burned-out car. It's bizarre. Anyway, what could possibly be the motive for this? Well, the Phillips son, Matt, spoke and talked about what we believe prosecutors will argue the motive was for all of this. Take a listen.
Your father, as we mentioned in the setup to this, was set to testify in the pilot's court-martial case. Do you know what your father was planning to say?
You know, what my father was planning to convey was actually conveyed. He handed over pictures of a sub-16-year-old boy who had been beaten violently, choked multiple times. He had those pictures that he handed over. He also handed over discs that contained classified information that never should have left an Army post. And really, all of those things came out without their deaths. I will say that Martin was dishonorably discharged. He is, in my view, not a military veteran. He was shamefully kicked out of the military. My father had a lot to do with that. And I think we should all be thankful for that, frankly.
All right, so Cal Phillips was going to be a witness in a court-martial against the defendant and ends up dead. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae. That's what the alleged motive, we believe, part of it's going to be. Can you walk us through the timeline of this case? Because it's taken a while to get to where we are.
It has. The actual murders happened on November 18th of 2015. That is when authorities first discovered Pam Phillips and Ed Dansereau in that burned up vehicle in a field. They looked at the tag on that car, and then that led them to the Phillips home where they found Cal Phillips in the basement. Then there was a stall. There were no arrests after that. They were looking at people because of that motive that they believed was the case as far as Christian Martin. They did look at him as a person of interest, but didn't have enough evidence to bring charges. Then on April 16th of 2016, the sister of the victim, Cal Phillips, found a shell casing inside his home. She was there cleaning it out and found it, contacted police so they could come and secure that as evidence. It still took another 3.5 or so years for Christian Martin to be indicted by a grand jury on those charges, including the 3 homicides of those individuals.
That shell casing, a very important potential piece of evidence in this trial. The defense trying to keep it out. There was a pretrial hearing. Let's show folks some of the testimony of Diana Phillips, again, the sister, who found that shell casing. We'll take a look at some direct and then some cross-examination.
Refer to the date of April 16th, 2016, and tell us, were you at your brother and sister-in-law's home on that day at 443 South Main, Pembroke, Kentucky?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the reason you were there?
We were there to do a few things, to clean up, because we have a huge house we have to clean up. We were there to sort things out, things we were going to keep, things we were going to discard.
Had you been at the house in days previous to April 16th?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you doing on those other days?
The same thing.
At that time, as you were out there cleaning and so forth, did you discover an item out there that caught your attention, other than the wood, the boards, and so forth?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and tell us what happened.
I was picking up pieces of wood. There were two piles of wood that I had never tried to do anything with it. And so there were pieces of wood, and I was picking up the wood, and I was taking certainly each piece and trying to pick that up. And then at the very bottom of the wood pile, which was it's like molding and border, like for the walls. That's whenever I saw an item. I now know what the name of it is. I didn't know what the name of it was at the time, but that would be a casing.
At the time, what did you think it was?
I wasn't sure, but I thought it might be important. And so I immediately went to Matt, who was I think it was in the front yard, but I immediately went to Matt and said, I need you to come here and take a look at something, because I wasn't sure what it was for sure.
Did you touch it?
No.
Did you touch it, Phillips?
I did not touch anything. I didn't touch that, no.
And so then what happened after you went to get Matt?
Matt came in, and I looked down and I said, Matt, what is that? And I pointed to it. I said, what is that? And he said, we need to get the authorities here. And I said, is that important? And he said, it could be. So I stepped away and he made some phone calls. And at that point in time, then I really stepped back, and I was very upset.
The police wanted to know all the circumstances about how this was supposedly found when they talked to you, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And there was enough concern about those circumstances that they asked you to do a polygraph.
Yes, sir.
You did that polygraph.
Your Honor, I object to going into this discussion about an area that is not going to be admissible at trial.
Judge, I think that this is important for the court to know in order to weigh this issue regarding the chain of custody, specifically that the state police were concerned enough about the manner in which this was supposedly recovered that they subjected the witness to a polygraph.
Objection sustained.
Would it change the court's ruling, Your Honor, if the court knew that, in fact, the witness did not pass the polygraph?
I didn't hear your question, but I did hear the objection. Move on, counsel.
Judge, the most recent case from the Kentucky Supreme Court regarding this matter is the Rogers case. In the Rogers case, the court found that the right to present a defense overcomes the concerns about the reliability of the polygraph as a form of evidence. And this isn't before the jury, Judge. This is before you.
Yes, sir. The exhibit's laying right here. I'm going to allow the exhibit to be entered confidentially, and we can argue about this later.
Wow. The defense really wants this polygraph in because apparently she didn't pass the polygraph.
Yes, that is accurate. Diana Phillips did not pass the polygraph according to court documents. but that is something that is not admissible in court. That's why you heard that objection by the prosecution saying that it's not relevant, it doesn't need to come up. But we can expect that Diana Phillips will be taking the stand to testify about finding that all-important shell casing, a .45, which would match the type of gun that was used to kill Calvin Phillips, and also was found in the home. A similar gun, a .45 Glock, was found in the home of Christian Martin when officers searched his home immediately after this.
Unbelievable. If that's a sneak preview of what this trial is going to be like, it's going to be some trial. Julie Janae, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Rest up. We'll see you next week out in Kentucky.
Thanks, Benny.